All right, good morning, everybody. It's Rabbi Kolakowski again, the Rabbi of Koblenz, and I'm just talking once again about things I heard on the radio, particularly about something about Ilhan Omar. And this is something I've said time and time again. I don't believe Ilhan Omar is an anti-Semite just because she opposes Israel. I do believe she's an anti-Semite because she's a Democrat. And again, I don't like the term anti-Semite. I prefer the term Judeophobe. Just like they speak of Islamophobia, I'll speak of Judeophobia. But I believe she's no Islamophobe because Islam considers all of the platforms of the Democratic Party to be haram, to be forbidden. And so this Ilhan Omar, to be a Democrat, she is committing things which are haram in Islam. So even if she wears the hijab, it doesn't make her a Muslim. You know, if she's engaging in things that are shirk and that are kufir and that are haram, which are all of the platforms of the Democrat Party. You know, the redefinition of marriage, abortion on demand even after birth. You know, the Islamic views of abortion are very similar to the Jewish views of abortion. Perhaps Islam is even a little bit more liberal than the Jewish views, the classical Jewish views on abortion. But that being said, there is a certain point where it is murder, and this to kill a baby who survived an abortion and is outside the womb, that is murder, and that in Judaism is asur, and in Islam is haram. It's forbidden in both of these religions, unequivocally. There's nothing that can permit this. And yet this is what the Democrat Party supports. They support killing babies after they were born if they survive an abortion. That's murder. And even if they're not actively killing them but allowing them to die, it's something that's forbidden. Even if it's not active murder, it's still a fail. It's in Judaism, it's just don't stand idly by your brother's blood. Allowing someone to die that you can save their life is a prohibition in Judaism, and it would seem in Islam as well. Islam, there are different schools of Islamic jurisprudence, just as there are in Judaism. In Islam, it's a little bit more compartmentalized generally into this was the Hanafi school. There's different schools. I don't know what they're all called exactly, but there are these different schools. I think the Maliki school, if I'm not mistaken, different schools in Islam of Islamic jurisprudence, and all of them agree that after a certain point, whatever it is, they're not necessarily talking about trimesters. They might talk about into the 10th week, the 20th week, the 30th week, the 40th week. So they'll divide into to 4 divisions, if I'm not mistaken. All I know, this is just from Wikipedia, but certainly when you're into the 30th week, it's already haram according to Islam to make an abortion. I think according to all the schools, Judaism has a different view. It doesn't allow abortion on demand, but if the mother's life is in danger, even the baby could be fully formed. If it is going to save the mother's life, as long as the head hasn't left the birth canal, or if it's a breached birth, which is itself very dangerous, at 51% of the body, peak first. But once the head comes out, then it's, meaning the neck, that's the point where the baby is considered born, and therefore it would be considered murder, meaning capital murder, to kill the baby to save the mother's life. You can't pick one life over another, as opposed to before that point, the baby is halachically, for the sake of saving the mother's life, not just you feel like it, not even for whatever reason the baby. Although that's a whole different thing, But like, you can't just say, I can't. I don't want to have this kid. That's not a reason to kill the kid, even inside the mother's womb. Even if it's not capital murder, it's certainly a sin that's akin to murder, and we could at least colloquially call it murder. And even in halachic literature, it is called ritzicha, which we would call murder. It is a criminal act of killing a person, even if it's not a capital sin. But it's certainly a sin. So again, these are the types of issues that we're faced with. But this being said, the Democrat Party isn't concerned with this. They are the party of killing babies because they are the party of Jim Crow. This is basically the abortion ideology is the modern lynching. Because most of the victims of abortion proportionally are African American, and they've brainwashed much of the African American community into thinking abortion is okay, and as a tool to wipe them out. I mean, that's what this is really all about. That's what's really at the center. That was the goal of Planned Parenthood from the beginning, among other things. Was a major goal of Planned Parenthood to wipe out the black race, and so this is, I would say, members of other races who are victims of abortion are almost collateral damage in the views of the Democratic Party to their main goal, which is they've always been the party of the KKK, they've always been the party of slavery, they've always been the party of racism, and they still are to this day, that they want to kill black babies. And so the abortion industry is really the lynching industry, and that is evil. That's totally wrong. But that's what the Democrats are all about. But the thing I want to talk about, what's this lady's name? Ilhan Omar. The issue with it, that she was speaking at a CAIR rally this week, and she said something about, which got a lot of attention. She said a bunch of people did a bunch of things. And I understand what she's saying there is that because some people did some things, meaning perhaps, and she's saying that's why CAIR came about in order to help Muslims who are being unfairly blamed for the acts of 9/11. Now, to express it that way is highly offensive. She should have said some evil people murdered 3,000 innocent people, and these people have nothing to do with Islam, if that's what she believed. I don't know if she believes that or not, that these people are not Muslims. Even that being said, even if they are Muslims or they're not Muslims, whatever it is, however she wants to brand that, of course it's not fair to blame the Muslim community in America for the acts of some evil people. I mean, if she would have just modified it by saying some evil people did some very evil things, a small group of very evil people did some very evil things, but I don't know if she can say that and be honest. And maybe she's being honest by saying that, but the bigger problem to me, as horrible as that is, that of what she said, of of some people doing some things, and they're almost equal in how bad they are. But the bigger issue, I think, here is what she said before that, is that, yes, we have to raise hell because as Muslims, we're tired of being second-class citizens here in this country. Now, if she said raise hell, I'm going to say, I'm going to raise hell. What the hell is she talking about? Second citizens in this country? All American citizens are equal, both under the law and in our society today. Muslims aren't second-class citizens, and Jews are not second-class citizens, and blacks are not second-class citizens. Women are not second-class citizens. Nobody is a second-class citizen in this country. There's no such thing as a second-class citizen. The only issue, why are certain groups held down, is because the Democrats want to hold them down, want to take away their opportunities so they can have a permanent voting base. And, they're worried that, you'll have educated blacks like Candace Owen, stand up. I'm sure, the Democrats would have hoped that her mother would have had an abortion. That's the Democrat ideology. But the Republican ideology is that every human being is valuable. Every individual, the most important minority is the minority of one, and it doesn't matter the color of your skin, doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter any of that stuff. What matters is, are you a human being? Are you, and that's, and there are certain rights that are given to American citizens that are not given to non-citizens. That's true. That's also part of it. And that's the issue here. So, these are some of the issues that that we have to talk about. So, these are, but this is the issue. To go and to tell a group of Muslims that they're second-class citizens, and to rabble-rouse them when they're not second-class. I mean, she lives in Michigan, right? Dearborn, Michigan. Are Muslims second-class citizens? I mean, in Dearborn, Michigan, the schools during Ramadan, the public schools during Ramadan, they're complaining about us that we have religious schools, that we have yeshivas, and we're trying to do things, on our own and not have the government interfere into our education. And yet the Democrats want to butt their nose into our education. And so on our Jewish holidays they're closed and stuff because it's a religious school, and maybe we're open on the civil holidays and we have to get our own buses, and we don't even ask for buses on those days, or many of our schools get their own buses because of that. But then this type of stuff that's going on, I don't know. I'm not complaining, but public schools during Ramadan allow students on their lunch break to have a room to pray. Public schools during Ramadan allow students, and that's almost all over the country that they have that. And And I don't have a problem with that, but I think Christians and Jews should be, and Buddhists and anybody else should be afforded the same type of opportunity to have student, led prayer if that's what they want to have. And but then the other thing was saying in Dearborn, Michigan, and I have no problem with this, but in the public schools, the football teams, their practices and their games are at night during Ramadan to accommodate students who are fasting. And again, I don't have a problem with that, but don't go and tell me in a country that allows that, and I think that's beautiful. I have no problem with accommodating Ramadan in public schools. But I do have a problem with someone then going and saying that in a country that's accommodating Ramadan in public schools that Muslims are second-class citizens. A congresswoman is saying that? Are you out of your mind? Do you realize that you're better off in America as a Muslim than you are in most Muslim countries? And the fact of the matter is you're better off in Israel as a Muslim than you are in most Muslim countries. And I'm not a fan of Israel, but that's because I don't believe the Palestinians are the victims of Israel. I believe the Jews are the victims of Israel. The pious Jews who don't want to go in the army and so forth. And don't want to have their religion watered down by the government. We don't have a Sanhedrin. Even if a group calls themselves a Sanhedrin, doesn't make it so. But to go and say, but in Israel, the fact is, there are groups that are second-class citizens. You do have that type of separation in Israel, which I think is wrong. But they still give a lot even to their second-class citizens. Their second-class citizens are living better than first-class citizens in Muslim countries in many ways. But I understand there are issues with that. But But this to say in America that Muslims are second-class citizens? I mean, I work with Muslims who are doctors and lawyers and chaplains and all kinds of things. They're not second-class citizens. We treat everybody the same. In fact, to a certain point, the truth is, we're afraid to offend the Muslims, and that's the thing I always hear. As a chaplain, like, a Native American group will say, well, they wouldn't do what they do to us. They wouldn't do that to the Muslims, would they? So what kind of nonsense is this to say that nobody is a second-class citizen in America? Where does she get this from? And that just shows that she's just a rabble-rouser and a liar and just, and like I said, she's a fake Muslim. Hiding behind the hijab. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you all later.